What is going on Instagram and YouTube? Pixel Monster TCG here. So I'm here to show off one of my favorite sets of cards in my collection. It's 11 cards. Some of my favorite cards in the hobby. I'm really blessed that I was able to complete this set this year. I got a lot of these January, February time frame, thankfully. And I just wanted to go through each card, show it off, and give shout outs to everybody that helped me with this journey here. There's only a few cards that I don't have the information on the seller, but without further ado, we'll start with the Shining Noctowl. So huge shout outs to Flippin' Cardboard on this. I think I picked this up from him in February, and he gave me a really good deal on it, and that was the very first transaction I ever had with him, and it was over Instagram. It wasn't even at the shows, so I'm really blessed that he was able to accommodate me on that. Nice. So this is a lot of people's least favorite, but I still think it's pretty cool. All right, the Shining Kabutops. This is actually the first one that I got in the set, and I got this from Monster Fish Hunter. Met him in Orlando. Card Party was vending next to me and Card and Sleeve at the time, but he gave me a good deal on this, and I think November time frame. But this is the first one I got in the set. Previously, I had all the first edition Shinings raw. So I've been selling those off as I upgraded to the PSA 10s. And this is the first unfortunate one. It's only unfortunate because I got this on Fanatics and I do not know who the seller was. So if anybody had a 4-cert Steelix on Fanatics and sold it for, I think, about 1.8, let me know. I'd like to give you a proper shout out here. And graded guard, if you're watching, which you should because all these are using graded guards, bring back gray. Like, I want all these to match, and this is the only unfortunate one. I have to use black, and I don't want to use gold to match Steelix because then I'd have to redo all of them to match, the shiny color of the Pokemon. So I didn't want to spoil some of these, so I had covered them up. I kind of tiered them out in value somewhat. So the Shining Magikarp. So this card is super underrated, I feel, compared to the rest of the set. But, and I actually really prefer the regular holo pattern for these. I know everybody's all about the double holo, but I feel like Neo Revelation was really unique in that they limited the holo pattern to just like accent parts of the card, and I think it gives Neo Rev like a unique identity that I think is often forgotten about. So I got to give shout outs to Z and G on this one. I do not know the consigner, but it was a buy now. He worked with me. So I'm really stoked to have this collection. I will give a shout outs to Pokey Rehab, as we made a deal around the time I bought this. And that's how I was able to buy this card. So it's awesome. Shining Raichu. This is actually one of my favorites. I don't know if a lot of people will say that, but I just love the uniqueness of kind of the foiling and the like cosmic like background. But I got this from Gengar's Nightmare, and we actually became really good friends after I bought this, which is kind of what the hobby's all about, right? So I'm really stoked to have this in the collection. I'm really stoked to have all of them in the collection. I mean, that's kind of redundant. I might say that a lot. All right, the Shining Mewtwo. So this one I have a lot of nostalgia for, because if you've watched any of my previous reels, you'll know that this and the Steelix were the first first and only original Shinings that I pulled as a kid, and I had no idea these cards were in the set, so it really struck me as, amazing at the time. But I got to give a shout out to PokeDad17 on this one. This one's been really growing on me, the Celebi. So this I got from Space Face Collectibles and highly recommend him. We've done many deals at this point. Friends and family, no problem, overnight. He gave me a really good deal on this earlier in the year. He knew I was trying to complete the set. I think this one's kind of underrated compared to the rest. I think Celebi looks great, pink. Really cool color shift on that one, so nice. A fan favorite, the Shining Tyranitar. Unfortunately, I also don't know who I got this from. It was somebody on eBay. So whoever you are, if you sold a 6 cert, first edition Shining Tyranitar, and I think it was like March, reach out if, you're on Instagram, follow me, and I'll give you the proper shout outs that you deserve, because, you really hooked it up on this one. Also, this was the last one that I needed for the Neo Destiny set. All right, now we're getting to the big ones. So we got the Koro Mew. Had to add this. I feel like it's very fitting in the set, considering it has the Neo Destiny set symbol. Also shout out again to Graded Guard for the Labyrinth. They kind of made it for this card, so, and it looks stunning. Got to give a shout out to Daisuke Collects. We made a deal on this, I think in April time period. Unironically ended up being the best time to get the card, even though some of my friends were saying I overpaid. In retrospect, I totally didn't. But I've always loved this card, since about 2015 when I learned about it. I graded the copy I had. It got a 9. And it was still a beautiful 9, but, I had to go for the whole 10 set. So really happy about this one. Okay. Arguably the biggest one, but I can't put it over the last card. So, Shining Gyarados. This is actually the last one that I needed to complete the entire set. So, it completed Neo Rev and the whole set at the same time. Kind of have a double shout out for this one. Vandy Flips, who sold this to Pixels Cards, and then me and Pixels Cards did a trade for this one, and huge shout out for Pixels Cards on this. He fronted the money for this for me so that we could trade when he got back from one of the Collecticons. I can't remember which one it was. It was maybe 2 months ago or so, and that's just a lot of trust. So I'm really glad we were able to do that. The case was really beat up at the time. It had some damage at the top, but I actually got it reholdered, and it just looks phenomenal with the reholder. Reholdering's kind of infectious, so I recommend you guys try it on some of your grails. Maybe not go too crazy, but yes. And then last, but certainly not least, my favorite Pokemon card of all time, arguably my favorite trading card of all time, the Shining Charizard. This card was always a grail to me ever since I found out about it in high school. I always like, something people don't talk about is the Gen 2 shiny sprite for Charizard is different than like Gen 3 and on, where he's purple with green wings. Now he's black with red wings, but I actually really preferred this version of the shiny sprite. This is one of the biggest online trades I ever made. I made a trade with the Pokemon Network. Huge shout out. I was able to, I knew that he had this card early January. So this is only the second first edition Shining PSA 10 I picked up, which is kind of wild. So I started on top, but we worked out a trade relatively quickly, and I was able to grab this, and it kind of kick-started the journey to completing the whole set. And with that, I mean, I appreciate you guys watching. Like, I'm kind of speechless that I was able to complete this set as, a regular guy. And, I unintentionally picked the best time to do it. I took advantage of a lot of, I don't usually sell or trade, but earlier this year when Modern started to move, I took advantage of that to roll into these, which ended up being, one of the best decisions I ever made in my trading card career. And these cards are in a forever home now. I don't see myself getting rid of them. They're some of my favorite cards in the hobby. The raw copies that I had before this, I had those for about 11 years, and I only sold them to get these. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Definitely, share this around. I guess now I'll give the shout outs to just some of my, bros in the hobby. So Catch 'em Sal, huge, he's influenced me a lot. Him and Jodo Jake on editing. So I got the ideas from them. I'm not like an original, when it comes to that. But I met them at Card Party last year. Them and HC Collects and Collectible Cardboard. And those are some of the best guys, in the hobby. I consider them, real friends, talk on the phone all the time, give good advice, some really good dudes. I got to give a shout out to my other local friends, Only Hits and High End Heaven. Them along with Pixel Cards are doing a phenomenal job learning and navigating this difficult hobby at such a young age. I gotta, commend them for that. And that, they're good dudes to do deals with. Beard Dad Cards, I knew him before he was famous. It's wild just how, he's blown up, recently. And I mean, he's one of the nicest guys, in the hobby. Orion Sires, I mean, I've been watching him on YouTube for a while now, and he was probably the first, friend, someone I consider a friend in the online hobby space. But got Shining Marshmallow. He's kind of a newer like Instagram friend, to me, but we talk all the time now, and influence, and me and him are more into Yu-Gi-Oh at this point. But he got his name from the Shining, so it's kind of relevant there. Huge shout out to TC Genius. I mean, he gave me a lot of really good deals on some Rocket cards last year. I met him at New Jersey. One of the nicest guys in the hobby, is disgustingly good at grading. He's awesome. Moe's Cards, he's local-ish to me, only a few hours away, but, we talk a lot, mostly about Yu-Gi-Oh these days, because that's the only thing we can afford now. And then, Wolfie, he's another, huge influence in the space. I've never bought, from him, but I facilitated a few, trades, and, he's just one of the nicest guys. But, yeah, I'm really stoked to, own these cards. It means a lot to me, more than just the value. The value sure helps, but, there's just so much nostalgia I have for these. But appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think, and see you next time. Peace.